Hi everyone, in this video I'm going to go over scheduling tips for our specific company, but they may help you too. If this is your first experience using Schedulefly, you may want to watch my video on how to use Schedulefly in general first. I also have a video on how to use Schedulefly as an admin. I will link both videos below and recommend watching them before this scheduling tutorial. I do not work for Schedulefly, but I have experience in scheduling with this program since 2012. Feel free to comment any questions and I'll do my best to answer. Alright, let's get started. If you want to see an overview of who is available and not available for the week, you can view the time off request report in the Reports tab. So that's right here. You would just go to time off request report, which is gone over in the other video before this one. In the Schedules tab, the first thing I usually do is write a note for hours of operation per day using this button right here. So you can say open 9 or whatever you're open. You can do that for every single day. Employees can see the note on each day with their schedules, and it can help you not mess up if you have different hours each day. You can have multiple notes per day. I also write any holiday or special event information that could affect how much staff is needed. Here you will see Create, Schedule, and Load Tablet. For Load Tablet, you can copy and paste older schedules if you'll have the same general schedule. So on a different week, you would hit copy, and then whichever categories you want to copy to template, and just name it whatever. And then go back to the schedule you're working on, load template, click that one, and it posts it right here. It's not posted yet, but you can see everyone that was on that schedule and make edits. And then if you decide you don't want to start with that, you want to start fresh or with a different schedule, you can just hit clear schedule. For create new schedule, you are starting from scratch, which is what I usually do since we have catering vehicles and teenage workers whose time off requests affect who is available each week greatly. Once you hit create new schedule, you will be brought to this page. Select schedule, so that's right here, is the different categories of your schedule, and they will be separated on your schedule per category. This is what that will look like. So let's say you put someone in mobile cone, and then you also have someone in the cake. Let's do the regular store. We'll put someone in there. So it's going to separate it with different headers. And then you can see separate ones if you need to see individually. So this is for like if you have a main store, catering, vehicles, other locations, things like that. In the available section will appear the employees for this category who are available for that shift time, which you have selected over here. It will only put employees whose primary category is the one selected. You can change their primary categories in the employee tab. If you want to schedule someone outside of their primary category, you can. You just have to select show all and find them. And then this is obviously people who have requested off. Sometimes you can go through and look at their info. Maybe they're available, like this person technically is marked off day shift, but they could get there by 3. So that's helpful if you need like a 3 to 6 shift or whatever. You can edit categories if you need to add like a different location or catering vehicle. You can add and edit them here. You can move them up if like this is your main one. You can move this up. You'll want to select a shift time that is relatively close to what you want your employee to be scheduled. So you'll just click the drop down and click one. You can adjust the time by hitting edit on an employee. So say you really want them there by 6:45, you can just create custom time. You can put in a shift break. It just deletes the number of hours that they're working right here. Or you can put like break into 10:30 here as well. And then this is also handy if it's like a catering event, you can tell like where the location is right here. And then you can change the color of their shift right here. We don't use this, but you can if you want to. You can also change the category right here. If you're finding that you have a common shift time that isn't in the dropdown, you can add and edit them here and move them up if one is more popular. Next to each employee name, there is an info tab that brings up all of their time off requests for the week and any scheduling notes you entered in the employees tab for them. So it shows that they're marked off here for evening, and then their note is right here. You go to a different day down here, it shows why. It shows what you are scheduling them as you go along. Like, for instance, if we put this person for this time on Tuesday, sometimes it doesn't show up unless you switch days, but it'll show right there, and then it'll show how many hours they're scheduled, and it will also show over here. This number is going to turn red once they go into overtime, just so you can see and make sure people aren't in overtime. For their scheduling notes, we usually include the range of hours they want, any info they've given us on how they like to be scheduled, and their age category. I will link Ohio's labor laws below. Here they are, up here. You'll want to have a copy with you every time you are working on the schedule. 14 and 15-year-olds have different laws than 16, 17-year-olds, and then obviously 18 and up is an adult and different as well. But yeah, you'll want to read through this thoroughly and make sure you have it every time you're scheduling. I always click show big picture down here, just so you can see the whole schedule. It doesn't always refresh in real time, but if you switch between categories, it will refresh. So I just usually go like that in all schedules, and then it will refresh whatever you've just done. You can also like click down here and it will show their info tab down here as well. You can see that's their hours, kind of what they do, and how old they are, 14, 15. Okay, from this point forward, I will mainly be talking about scheduling for our specific company. So the first thing I usually do is add the mobiles so that I make sure they have the correct number and quality of employees before moving on. The mobile crew is very specific on who can work mobiles and will complain if you give them others, so make sure to coordinate with Valerie on who they're willing to take. If someone is working 2 day shifts or 2 night shifts on the same day, this is how you would do that. So this kind of happens if someone's working a mobile in the morning. So also if there's 2 mobiles on one day, you would schedule it mobile cone 1, mobile cone 2, and then if there's a third, you would do that one so that it's separated on the schedule. So let's go ahead and put someone. So you have to go to show all to see other employees, and then we'll add this person, and then you'll notice if you switch back to the cone, if you want to add that same person, so A2, into a store shift after they've worked. So say you want to schedule them 1 to 4 in the store, but the day part is still day and not evening. And so it's going to show up that they're already working and you can't add them. So what you have to do is click an evening day part shift to be able to add them, and then you hit edit custom time and change it here. I'm not really sure why you have to do this, but that's how it works. You cannot schedule 2 day parts unless you customize it, and then hit save changes. Also, if you do accidentally try to schedule someone, like say you do 11, which is technically when they're still at the mobile, it comes up with an error. Okay, so that's how you do that. Once the mobiles are in, I usually quick glance at the manager and supervisor info tabs, so whoever they are over here, and just to see who's on vacation. I then fill out my cheat sheet, which is what my cheat sheet looks like. I just try and make sure there's at least one manager and one supervisor on each day and night shift for every day. Once that is complete, I do the trainers, and then I do the mixed people. For mixed people, there has to be at least one on every night shift. During the day, it is usually back of house staff making mix, but it is always handy to have one person who knows mix in case the back of house person isn't available. Once that sheet is filled out, I enter them all on Schedulefly. Like I said, you don't have to do this, it just helps me to see it clearly. So then you add them all on Schedulefly. If you are doing cleaning shifts, this is when I would put them on. I usually keep a chart of who does each week so that nobody has to do them very often. Make sure there is someone like a manager or supervisor running it and 2 to 3 more people. I also try to put someone to make quarts and clean pumpers on Mondays. In the summer, I also try to add another quart shift on Thursday or Friday to stock up for the weekends. Then I go to my main sheet where I have sorted all the employees into categories that make sense to me. So they're right here. The arrows, so these arrows mean they are sibling or parent-child groups. I try to schedule them together as much as possible. I go through and glance at each employee info tab and cross out anyone who is on vacation first so that they're kind of out of the way. So anyone who is already on the schedule and has a sibling or is a parent-child group, I schedule next. Usually this takes some tweaking to get everyone on the right shifts and the correct amount of hours with their time off requests and conflicting schedules of siblings. Obviously, if you can't schedule them totally together, that's completely fine. Also, a side note, if a supervisor or a trainer aren't working their max amount of hours at the beginning of the schedule, that's okay. That's actually preferred because towards the end, you'll need to put them in regular shifts where the schedule is lacking, or maybe it has a weak crew that day. Just make sure not to cross their name off this list so you know that they need more hours. Or sometimes I put them not at max over here. I'll try and give people a little bit of a less hours some weeks if they're stressed or have exams. But then if you need them to work, you'll see that maybe one person can have one more shift over here. Okay, back to Schedulefly. Next, I schedule the daytime people so that I can see how many regular staff I will need to steal from to put on daytime. After that, I schedule the regular staff. You'll want to start with the sibling groups again. Then I usually add in some of the more experienced crew to the weekend shifts. After that, you can pick those who have strict mark-offs since they will only be available to work certain days and other staff will need to be added around those people. Basically, from here, it's just a puzzle of getting the right number on each day and night. You'll want to ask the manager how many people they want for day and night, and then ask again every so often. The schedule is 2 weeks out, and by the time they remember to tell you, they want something changed, it's sometimes too late. If you're short staffed for the whole week, I usually at least try to make sure each night has the same number. At the end, you can always add in extra shifts. The last people I add in are the trainees. You want to make sure there is a trainer for them on your trainer chart, and also, especially if it's a weekend, make sure the overall crew is decent. I would not recommend scheduling someone for their first shift on a Saturday or Sunday night unless you have to. Once someone has worked about 4 shifts, you can also add a newer trainee at the same time if there are 2 trainers, since one will likely be in the back and one will be in the front. So I have my training sheet just to make sure there's not too many trainees per day. Make sure there is a trainer, obviously, on the same day part as them. And then, yeah. Okay, so now you have all your staff on the schedule and it's time for polishing. I start with editing the daytime start shifts. You'll need an opener, and then just make sure there's the correct amount of people per hour. For instance, I would do about 4 opening and then add a certain amount at 1 or 2 o'clock. You'll need to ask your manager and have a cheat sheet on how many staff members they want on each and every hour of every day. And then, just put notes like if this person's opening, I would do, so this is in the cone category, but we'll put the main store and just put like opener so that they know. And then if you want to, you can kind of glance at one of my older schedules just to kind of see how many people started and when throughout the day. And this will change all the time. Managers always decide they want something different, which is fine. And it depends on how well the business is doing, like if it's slow season, things like that. And obviously, if there's a giant field trip, you'll need more people that day, and just various different factors. So after that, I go day by day and write down who needs breaks for that day. I then look at how many staff are scheduled each hour by clicking these bars. So you can see for each hour how many people are scheduled. If there is a surplus during dinner hours, so a surplus of employees, you can use that to give the other ones breaks. If there is no surplus, you will need to move another employee shift time up or a daytime employee shift time down to cover the employee breaks. So be careful with minor labor laws here. You'll want to make sure that anyone 17 and under is not working more than 5 hours on either side of their break. If you move someone up to cover a break who isn't 18, if you schedule them at 4, they would need to leave by 9. Just things like that. Also, make sure not to include trainees in these numbers, and you can see exactly who's working by clicking this. So say that's a trainee, so there's only one person working, technically. Once you have the breaks done, look at the amount per hour one more time and make edits. If you can delay people who are less experienced. You will repeat this process for each day. If the mobile is big like a festival, you will need to do the break process there too. At this point, add in the extra shifts that you'll need to put up once the schedule is posted. You would do like a lot of the time. You'll need like several per like evening, so you'll have to do that thing where you make it a day shift and then edit it to be an evening shift. After that is all done, I add in the back of house staff, which I also have a chart on that as well, right here. These are the people who do the storeroom list, mix list, put away TPC and shipments, make peanut butter sauce, just etc. You'll want one on every single day shift and then one on night shifts to do dishes and mix, especially on weekend nights. You'll also want to make sure that there is someone to do mix on Mondays when the store is closed. It will take them 3 to 4 hours to refill the ice creams and get the storeroom list from the busy Sundays. You don't necessarily need a back of house person on Tuesday if you have a good one on Monday who can do the mix and get the list. Whoever the manager is on Sunday night needs to make sure to stay and make the mix list and storeroom list. This can take quite a bit of time, but is worth it to get the week started. Lastly, I add in the cake and pie person. So that would be Kim. So you would add her here, or whatever she works. And then I also add in the drawer grocery person. I actually add them in on the category various additional shifts, and that's for security purposes, so that it doesn't show up as like someone counting drawers at a specific time. That would be bad. And you can choose whatever category you want for that, basically. At this point, I usually go through and, annoying as it may seem, click every single name on the schedule. So I literally click every name and make sure I didn't actually accidentally schedule them for when they're not available, which usually only happens if they put in a late request. So yeah, I make sure they're scheduled within their hours, that they have breaks, and that their breaks didn't mess up sibling groups, and make sure they don't have any late mark-offs. If you may be tempted not to change a late mark-off, but sometimes it's easier just to fix it, as other employees will not take their shift, and then you may end up being short-staffed. Obviously, use your judgment based on their reason for needing that shift off. Also, if they do not click the time off box accidentally in their time off tab, so time off tab, they're editing stuff, and they don't click it, they just put in a note, it's going to show up as a note in the scheduling. So their note will show up right here, but it won't show up as day off or evening off, and it will show as available when you're scheduling. So if they do that, and that happens actually quite a lot with newer employees, make sure to change the shift, but also notify the employee to fix their time off request tab, or they're going to keep doing it. One last thing, sometimes management wants you to schedule traffic and car hop, and sometimes they don't, so just ask who they want, or they might reject them. They're kind of specific on those types of people, those and mobile people. Okay, that's it. Your schedule is now ready to be approved by Valerie for the mobiles, and after that, you can hit post. Once posted, make sure to log into Extra Shift, which I'll give you the login info, and put up those shifts. If there's a lot of extra shifts, don't put them all up at once, or it's going to clog the shift trade tab. And anyone else who puts up a shift, like other employees, can't even see it. Also, make sure to put who can take it. So trained employees, trainees, people of certain ages to comply with labor laws, things like that. I hope this helps. Let me know if you have any questions along the way, and I will link the other videos and any of my other resources.